Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen Francis and usually I produce sewing content, but this time I'm going to do something a little bit differently because I wrote a book. This is actually the proof, that's why it has this weird mark across it. And this book is actually very relevant to the reason I started sewing. So if you'd like to hear a little bit of a story about why I wrote a book on Mary Wollstonecraft and how it got me into the story, plus some sewing content because I managed to sew a few things, why don't you stick around and I'll talk you through it. I've always enjoyed writing and it was my first hobby before I got into sewing. And I also have a deep interest in history, and that's why Mary Wollstonecraft is very appealing to me. If you don't know who she is, she's a feminist author. She was born in 1759 and died, I believe, in 1797, so she died super early in childbirth. What is so appealing to me about who she is that even though she was born several hundred years ago, I feel like she is extremely relatable to people today. You see, Mary wrote a lot, not just in defense of women, but she wrote personal letters to her friends, and you can really get to know her that way. So what I decided to do is take those personal letters and extrapolate on them and actually make a diary using her own words, but making up my own story. That's why this book is called The Imaginary Diaries of Mary Wollstonecraft. The story concentrates on her early years from when she was about 12 years old to about 26. And I chose those years because it's really interesting to see how she formed. She had an abusive alcoholic father. She was the oldest daughter, so she had to take care of the house. And she had passionate relationships with her friends and her enemies, and most of all God, who was really important to her in her early formation of ideas. If you're interested in learning more about Mary, I have another channel called Imaginary Past that I posted the first 4 chapters in video content, so maybe you'll find those fun to watch. And if you're really interested, I'll put a link to the book in the description. I don't expect this book to be a bestseller at all. Far from it, as a matter of fact. But this is just another passionate thing I have. I love history and I love writing, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So how did Mary Wollstonecraft introduce me to sewing? Well, it's because I wanted authentic descriptions of the costumes that they wore in the 18th century. So I spent some time on YouTube learning about it. And then I found Abby Cox's channel. If you know anything about historic fashion, she's the one to go to. And I enjoyed her videos so much that I bought both of her books. And then I thought about sewing because she inspired me to start sewing. And let me just point out, this was 3 years ago. I've been working on this book a very long time. So 3 years ago, Abby Cox brings me to sewing, and here I am today with a channel and having finally finished my book. That's enough about writing today. I actually did sew some things and I'd like to go through those with you as well. I have this seersucker material. You can see a bit of it here, and I made 2 things out of all the yardage I had. The first is the Simplicity 8844. This is a very popular pattern, apparently, especially if you want to make the Titanic dress that Rose wore. I also made it out of satin in one of my previous videos, and I thought I'd try it again. So here it is. The best part about this pattern is that it comes in so many panels, you can really play around with the fit and also the fabric. I'll put some better shots of it up here, but what I chose to do is just stick with the fabric. I love the seersucker version of this dress. So I chose to do view C that doesn't have the collar, and I really like the way it looks. Sometimes collars can be a bit bulky, and I just wanted a jacket I could throw on without too much nuisance around my chest and my face. So I think this worked out really well. You can see the sleeves are a little puffy, and I think that's why people who sew retro like this pattern so much, because it does have more of a vintage silhouette, especially in this blue and white striped seersucker. Try saying that 3 times real fast. It's perfect. Another thing I like about this pattern is it only has 1 button. I haven't put it in yet because I'm worried about cutting up the fabric. You know how that goes, and that's exactly why I like only 1 button, because if I make a mistake, I only make 1 mistake. Look how wide these shoulders are too, by the way. You can actually put in shoulder pads, so if you're looking for that football player look, this is a jacket for you. Of course, I love that it has pockets in the front. Those are going to be really useful. Great place to tuck your hands in. And if you guys notice the yellow, what I chose to do with my seams is actually just use yellow binding all the way around. So I have it around my wrists, and I have it around the bottom of the jacket as well, and the inside on all of the seams. Now later, if I don't want that yellow showing on the outside, it'll be very easy to just flip it around and put another hem in. But the nice thing about this is I can roll these sleeves up this way, and they look really neat as well. So I can keep rolling. I can, push them up to short sleeves, and and play around with the length as well. The pattern also comes with a more of a flare sleeve, which I made in the satin version, and also a shorter sleeve length. Oh, and one of the best parts about this jacket is it comes with bust size differences. So you can do a bust B, a C. Oh, is it an A or B or a C? I'm not sure, but you can definitely choose a different bust size so that it fits you up here, and that helped out a lot too. All right, what else did I make? I have to go put it on. I'll be right back. Just to get a look at the inside. Yellow stitching all around. Except my underarm. I still have to do that. Be right back. I made a smock dress. This was a little hard to get into, so it took me some time, but I'll cut out all of that footage. This is the 8641 smock dress, and it turns out I really like this pattern too. It's going to be great for the garden. I chose this seersucker material, even though it recommends a lighter fabric, because I thought, no, the picture didn't look right on the front. I didn't like it in the lighter fabric, so I thought I'd try something heavier. And personally, I think it looks better with a heavier material. So this pattern includes 2 different smock varieties, one with a straight and one with more of a curve, and one version has a zipper and one version doesn't. I chose to do the one that doesn't have a zipper because I just thought that was one less thing I had to put in. And I really like the way it cinches in the back. One thing is it has super long ties. I have it all the way cinched in the back, and I still, unless I made a mistake, I still have some super long tails here. So if I make it again, I think I don't need to make these so long. Also, it was a little tricky to put on because you have to go through some belt loops in the back, but I managed okay. This was also a quick make. It only had a front and a back, the pockets, and then the top. And if you're looking for a skirt that's maybe is a little more versatile, and I think if I make this again, it would be really cute to have a little pocket right here, like overalls. Except I ran out of material because I literally used every last scrap of my seersucker. So unless I put a different color fabric, actually that's a good idea. I could put like a really bold rose fabric right here or something like that. That might give it extra kick. My version also was about 4 inches longer than the pattern suggested, just because I like a little bit longer skirt. I do plan on making another jacket. Maybe I'll do a sew along for that. And also I have some pants to finish. Well, I guess that's all the sewing for now and the book writing. One thing I wanted to point out about that book, it's self-published. It's not like I have an agent or anything like that. I think it's important to distinguish that you can do this on your own. And since it's a part of me, I might talk more about history, and maybe I'll even try sewing a historical garment myself. Maybe not everybody on this channel likes to see that kind of stuff, but I think because this is me and it's a part of who I am, I might have that content as well. Well, happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Thanks.